refuse to pay me for piano lessons? Okay, I'll count every minute and charge accordingly. When I was 14, I was qualified fully in my country in a piano playing performance qualification. I had worked really hard for this and was so proud, my parents too. I was too young to join paid orchestras, and they didn't exist near me. So instead I handed out business cards to residents nearby in a fairly wealthy area and thought I could make some money teaching after school. Teachers in the area were charging €20 per half hour, so I charged €17 because of my age. Edit, and lack of experience, since someone got their knickers in a twist. And got very lucky that a few mums caught on and switched to me instead. I quickly had 4 to 5 kids/adults to teach every single weeknight in an area I could bike around. This was roughly €400 every single week due to fluctuations of people cancelling and so on. An hour's lesson was 50 minutes with a short water break and explanation of homework at the end. A half-hour lesson was 25 minutes with explanation and homework at the end. I made all of this very clear and learned it was necessary through time to walk people carefully through homework and exam prep. These parents paid 10 lessons in advance every time, and I kept a calendar and updated parents weekly on where they were at. One parent would always ask for a full summary of all 10 weeks for all 3 of her kids, and I was happy to provide it. Suddenly one week she decided she didn't owe me money for the next 10 lessons until I had made up for lost time. I was obviously very confused and asked her what she meant. She cited the reason that I cut 5 minutes off every 30 minutes and 10 minutes off every hour, so I should teach that extra time before getting more money. Here's the real kicker: her kids were horribly behaved. They were easily the most spoiled, entitled kids I taught, and often said things like, "Since we pay you, don't you work for me?" They were ages 6 to 11. She had also referred me to a lot of other parents, so I was concerned about my jobs. Because her kids behaved badly and didn't do homework, I always spent extra time on them, 5 to 10 minutes per week, because they needed it. But okay, sure, you want me to work that time? No problem. So, I decided to tell this mother from now on I would set a timer and charge every minute on the timer and show her when I clicked it on and off, and gave a huge apology. You can imagine her shock at the end of the 10 weeks when she saw that the kids' combined 30 hours was actually more like 36 to 37 that she had to pay. She never bothered me about timing ever again and rushed through every homework or exam prep explanation, getting me out of the door. TLDR. Mum got what she deserved, questioning the time I was teaching her kids when in fact I had been most generous with them. I made her pay all the hours with a timer. Now to the comments. I can't imagine why her kids were so horrible. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey no give respect to human, so I won't neither. Stares in fling poo. Love that she thought you were responsible and intelligent enough to teach her children a skill, but not keep proper time. Right? Keeping time is literally what musicians do. Having been a drummer for a lot of bands, keeping time is what some musicians do, others get yelled at for not keeping it. Lamau. At age 14, amazing. How old are you now, and do you still play piano? OP replied, I'm 30 and I play professionally and sing opera. You sing too? What part? It makes me incredibly happy you were able to make a career out of your talents. I've got a friend who tutors as a side business. Had someone who kept coming late to lessons, and he would accommodate to make it work. Person came late at 4:15 for a 4 appointment, they would work until 5:15. At one point he was back-to-back in lessons and one of his clients refused to pay for the full hour despite being 10 minutes late. Wanted to be prorated for 50 of the minutes instead of the normal 60. So, he updated his terms and contract that now tutoring begins on the dot, regardless of being late. That time was reserved, so they were paying for it. Additionally, any time spent after the time frame was charged at 3x the rate per minute. So now in the 4:15 to 5:15 example, it would still be the hour rate, plus 15 minutes at 3x the rate, which meant the dude was now paying for 1:45 of tutor time for being 15 minutes late. OP replied. Boom. I bill by the hour in my profession, too. I find it's always the clients who get the most who feel they get the least. Odd phenomenon. The brain is very good at getting desensitized. You at 14, so I ran a small teaching business well enough to maliciously comply somebody into submission. Me at 29, hey, let's be 10 minutes late to an online rehearsal. I'm impressed with your work ethic, as I'm sure it's brought you much success and many blessings since then. How would an online rehearsal even work? Everyone would be out of sync, no? There are tools with much less latency than Zoom. As long as everyone is within a few hundred miles and using a wired connection, it's good enough. Glorious. Indeed, it is. Great idea. Let's question the piano teacher's timing. Mad props for being 14 and 1. Being good enough to teach piano. 2. Being smart enough to hand out cards to the rich. 3. For the time a thing. Love it. You are not merely a genius in the music department apparently. Well done on you. Nothing like young people putting entitled parents and brats in their places. It's always sunny when you have them by the balls and they think they have you over a barrel. We gotta cut the shit with extorting kids trying to make money. As an adult seeing it, and realized it was done to me when I was young, I hate it. Very impressive that you were able to stand up for yourself in such a positive way at the age of 14. You already know how to deal with Karens at age 14, you're gonna know how to carry yourself just fine, you'll do great in life. OP replied. My mum taught me to be robust, ha. Happens pretty often. My customers don't understand the little stuff I do for them that I don't account for. I had one start saying stuff like we were only on the phone for 10 minutes when I had 20 minutes of work to complete it after we hung up. He wasn't happy with my explanation. So, I just wouldn't do any work for him unless he was currently on the phone. If he had to take another call, I'd tell him we'd have to finish things when he was available again. I refused to do any work for him after hours because he got shitty with my boss about the after hours rate. I shouldn't have to pay more to not have my system down in the middle of the day. Fine, that's no longer an option. Wish I could say that he learned his lesson. He apologized, people clapped. Instead, nothing ever works anymore and dealing with him is still awful because every call starts out with an accusing this never works right. Sorry, that paying me for 15 minutes of my time only gets you 15 minutes of my time. I find sticker shock to be annoying. I do a lot of freebie work for my friends and fam. I enjoy being able to give back like giving a gift. One friend was adamant to pay me for building a custom WordPress WooCommerce site at my consulting rate. I was like, no, you don't want that. Him, yay, I don't like owing favors. Invoiced him. He was stunned at how much that site cost, discounted at wholesale by min-hour rate. We settled it with beer and steaks cause I wasn't going to allow him to spend that much for something that I found as enjoyable side hobby. This was a nice ending this time. But in same vein I had customers fall into same thinking when they ask for XYZ when they only need X and flip about the cost on delivery. It's people like this where you have to talk dumb and say I charge €17 for 50 minutes. Physically you're there, and spending your time preparing them to practice piano. Those 5 minutes OP spent explaining things to their student were just as valuable as the other 25. Mom was entitled as duck, no wonder her kids behaved like shit. I tutor on the side in 1-hour blocks. I had one student that regularly took about 65 to 70 minutes, but I let it slide. Then one day after 55 minutes I had nothing left to explain, so I decided to end a bit early. Parents decided to prorate my pay. This was not huge savings for them. I don't charge that much, so I'm not sure why they thought this was a good plan. I never went to minute above 60 with that kid ever again. If we were mid-problem, I would start wrapping up with 2 minutes left and tell them they could book another session if they were still in need of assistance. The irony of accusing a piano teacher of not keeping time. Nice. Dang, that's petty going after a 14-year-old. Entitled B#divided by. Thought she could treat you that way because you were a kid/teen. Good for you on showing her some manners. On another note, my kid's piano teacher asked for 4 payments in advance, then promptly ghosted us. After she was our teacher for about a year. I have COVID. I have COVID a second time. My car can't handle the 2 inches of snow. Someone I know has COVID and I was around them for 1 second. She said she would pay us back in a couple of weeks, but I have a sneaking suspicion I'm never going to see that money again. What's your professional opinion? OP replied. Well, it's been 10 years since I taught anyone at all, but I guess you won't get it back. They knew where I lived and had my parents' contact.